Hello one, NoirPhoenix here, back again for Screeps Beginner Guide 2. So today, well, last time we managed to get our workers moving back and forth between spawns, which is all good and all. However, I feel like we can do better. So when they go to a source and the spawn's full, they're just standing there doing nothing. What we want to do to be more efficient, and so the creep is always doing something, is if there's no way to deposit the energy, we want it to go into the controller, where then we can progress and unlock new structures and whatnot. So, without further ado, let's get started. So what I'm going to do now is actually create a new module. We're going to try and make everything a bit cleaner. So let's just say role.worker. Cool. Get rid of this top bit like last time. And just like last time, we'll create a initial function, which will be called from the main script. And we'll send in the creep. Cool. And what we're going to do now is copy majority of this. I think that should be alright. And we'll paste it in here for the time being. Actually, I'll tell you what, just to future-proof it, because I've got some ideas I want to do later on in the series. We'll create another function at the very top. We'll say, let's call it just locate sources. And we'll also send in the creep. Cool. So now we've got that function set up. And now what we're going to do is, just for the time being, look for sources. We don't need the console log. Oh yeah, that reminds me, we need to have reference to the is working thing. So just like last time in the main script, we actually, tell you what, we can just take out this from last episode, copy it, and then paste it here. Sorted. And now we've got access to that. Leave that at the top of the script. That should be good. Ah no, we can take this out and paste it in here as well. Cool. Oh, what did I miss? Ah, the I. There we go. Right, so inside this if statement we can actually take that out because we're going to want to call the locate sources if there's no sources to be found. We'll get rid of this else, like so, and then underneath this else statement we'll no, if statement, sorry, we'll put an else, and then we'll call this locate sources function, like so, and send in the creep. And then I'll just fold it up. You don't have to do this, it's just how I like to organize my code. So, if the creep is not working, then it will try and locate the spawn, and then it will transfer the energy into the spawn. Otherwise, if it is working, it will locate a source and try and harvest it. However, one thing which I want to do right now actually is you're not always going to be wanting to send energy to the spawn. What I mean by this is later on, when you're, if I go to constructions, when we reach level 2 in the controller, we'll be able to place down extensions. What extensions do is it enhances the total amount of energy you can spend when making a creep. So as of right now, we've got work, carry, and move. So that's 200 energy out of 300. But if we had some extensions, we could possibly have 2 of each, and we're totally fine, which is ideal, really. But we need to code that. So what we want to do now is create a variable which stores all of those structures which you can apply energy to when enhancing a creep, when creating a creep. So to do that, we can do _dot filter brackets, and then find structures, yes. No, find my structures, just to be a bit more optimized. And then brackets again. And then this is just a variable. I'll just call it S for now. You can call it whatever you want though, really. And then an arrow symbol. And now, this is where we put our conditions. So, we want to make sure it's either a spawn or an extension, and the amount of energy in the structure is less than its capacity. Otherwise, it will try and find another structure which it can deposit its energy in. So to do that, we need to do s.structureType is equal to structure underscore spawn, or s.structureType, oh, didn't mean to do that, is equal to structure structure underscore extension. And then actually we'll wrap that in brackets, and then put an and at there. S.energy is less than S.energy capacity. Now, what that should do is, as I said, it should get all the structures and then check whether or not it's a spawn or an extension, and the amount of energy in the structure is less than its capacity. And now what we want to do is actually feed that into this part, so we can actually get rid of the game.spawns and just feed in energy. As so. Cool. Actually, I just realised something. This is either gonna not work, or it's gonna return every structure we own. We can actually need to fix that. So what I'm gonna do here is wrap everything to do with the conditions in that. Put a filter at the start of it with a colon, and then get rid of this filter bit as an equals. And then what we want to do is that right? Yeah. We want to get the creep position, or even better, creep.room.find. There we go. So that's just going to find all the structures inside the creep's room, which is exactly what we want, and that should work. We can save it. It's not going to do anything at the moment because the energy's full. Is there any energy in that? No. Cool. That's what we want. We also need to create an auto spawning system soon. We'll do that soon though. Alright, something else we're going to do is, just so we can get it to move to the upgrader, is we want to get rid of that, well, copy that bit. Yeah, what we need to do now is get rid of this bit. Well, not get rid of it, we need to copy it, sorry. And then, basically, whenever it's full, it's going to do this. We can also get rid of that for the time being, and we can open this up. So, when the creep's full, then it's going to decide what it's going to do inside here. So, it's either going to fill up the sources, no, sorry, it's going to fill up the spawn or the extensions, or as of right now, if they're full, there's nothing else to do, we're going to get it to upgrade the controller. So we can do that by pasting that back in. So if creep.transfer energy is not in range, actually we need to do if energy.length is greater than 0, otherwise that will return an error. And then creep.move to energy. Sorted. And then else, we can get it to locate the controller. So if creep.upgrade controller, that's how you can, that's the method of pumping points into the controller. And just like above, creep.room.controller, and that do we need to do that? Creep.room.controller. Ah, no, never mind. Ignore me. Creep.upgrade controller, creep.room.controller is equal to error not in range. Then creep.move to creep.room.controller. Cool. So if it's not putting energy into the spawn or the extensions, then it will go and pump the points into the controller, which is pretty cool. Yeah, so it should be working though. Why is it not working? It's because it has no parameters, that's why. That reminds me actually. Undefined, what I'm actually going to do is create a new creep just to show you. The method I showed you last episode of creating a creep is actually what's the word? Depreciated. And depreciated means it's planned to be removed in future releases of the game. Not to fear, there is another method of spawning creeps. So we want to, just like normal, we define the spawn. So game.spawns core. But this method is called spawn creep. And then we want all the body parts, so work, carry, move, the name. We'll call it, not undefined this time. Let's just call it NoirPhoenix. And then here, you gotta type in memory, colon, and then more of these funny brackets. And here, you type in a role, so worker. But what we haven't, it's going to create it, but it's not going to run anything yet because we haven't written anything in the main script to access this. So if we do that, it should create, yeah, there we go. It's creating a creep again. Awesome. So whilst that's doing that, we will now get this working. So what we need to do is get access to that module by doing this. Const worker equals require role.worker. Remember, you have to write exactly for the name you've given the module. Cool. And then since we're iterating for all the creeps, we can get access to the creeps memory. So if creep.memory, and since we create a role for that creep, we can access it here. .role is equal to worker, then worker.run, and then creep, just like we did last time. And then that should hopefully work. It might return an error because this guy doesn't have any code, or not. So he's now harvesting, which is just like we wanted. And he should fill up the spawn initially, and then return over here. He's almost done. Just move this out of the way a bit more. And then he's still harvesting. Why is that? Let's check his memory. Oh, that's why. Silly me. I forgot to put in the is working variable inside the creep memory. We can quickly fix that. Inserts. And then is working. We can give it any value. It should autocorrect it. Has it saved? Yes. Wasn't that the right variable? No. It needs to be capitals. There we go, he's moving, I think. Yep. Sweet, that's just what we wanted. And he should make, well, he is making his way down to the controller. And then, wait, hang on here, has that filled up? No, he should have gone to there. Why is that? Ah, okay, I realised what it is. Here, so what this is doing here is it's checking what the creep is carrying, and then it's checking it if it's less than its carry capacity. So as soon as it spends 1 point on the room controller, this is true. So then it's making it go back. So what we need to do here is actually just change it to 0. And then it should just empty all its inventory into the room controller. But that still doesn't explain the spawn issue. Or if I just create a new creep here. NoirPhoenix 2. No, he's not going back. Interesting. Ah, okay. I see what the problem is with the spawn. It's because, since it's an array, it's kind of a silly mistake, really. We're not finding the closest one. Do we need to? It might be better if we find the closest one. So to do that, we can get rid of this and creep.pos find closest by range will do. And then that should work in theory. Oh no, we need to check if it's this is not an array anymore, so we need to check if it's not undefined. There we go. That should now, assuming it's not full, which it isn't. What's this doing? He's being silly. He's full. Ah, issue after issue. Okay, there we go. I think I can't remember, but if we had this last episode, but basically just ensure you have resource energy after a comma, after you've written energy there, and that should get it to return. Yep, cool. Or what's it doing now? Does it have energy on it? No. Yep, there we go. That's another fix. What this was doing is it's checking if it's like -1 or less. That's why you need to do an equals. Another common mistake, really. Not a common mistake, a silly mistake on my part. Yeah, so that should work. We'll just check again. Make sure everything's working. This guy's full though. And what's his memory say? Ah, it's the same thing. Okay. Yeah, that's right. Because I created a new one just to test it. Is working. False. There we go. Yeah, and they're both moving. Cool. And we'll just double check. Make sure they return back to sources. It looks like they're unloading all their inventory into the controller though, which is nice. Cool. That is good to see. And they're both doing it as well. And he's coming back. But is he going to come to the source? It looks like he is. I'm pretty sure the last time he pathed over down here. Over here this way. It looks like he is. He's interested in this source, it seems. And yes, there we go. He's returned back to that. And this is full. No, yes, it is full. Awesome. So that's working. That's good news. So, now we need to figure out a way of maintaining this. Maintaining a certain quantity of workers, I should say. So, to do that, just a basic spawning system. For the time being, we'll write in a variable max workers. And this is what it'll aim to have consistently. And let's say 5. The general rule of thumb I like to do is, for each source, I like to say a single source can support 5 workers without the container method of mining. So we'll just say 5 for the time being though. So there is 2, but for proof of concept. And what we want to do is outside this loop. Now, what we want to do is create a filter function, well, sum function, which can be done as follows: num of workers equals _.sum brackets game.creeps. Something I should have done actually, which I haven't done yet, is give the creeps a home value. Ah, there we go. We've reached room control level 2. Is home value for future proofing as well. I'll do that in a second. So constant number of workers, game.creeps, a variable, we'll say C, arrow, and then c.roll is equal to worker. Sweet. And for proof of concept, and c dot home, sorry, c dot home is equal to, let's say, actually I'll tell you what, above it put game a for loop for const spawn index in spawns. No, game.spawns. There we go. So that's going to iterate through all the spawns that we have. In this case, it's just one at the moment. Const spawn equals game.spawns spawn index. There we go. And now if we put this inside of that for loop, c.home is equal to spawn.name. Awesome. And then close it off. There we go. So that's going to return all of the workers, but it's going to not work at the moment. Oh, I spelled that wrong. Console.log. It's going to error. Oh no, it's not. It's purely because that is because there is no home value on these creeps. If I quickly add a home value, type auto. It's not done anything. Insert. Okay. Home. And we'll say, what's the other called this? Core. So in capitals, core. And it should say 1 now. No? Did it save it? Home. Ah, okay, I forgot to put memory. C.memory. Cool. And that should, yeah, there we go, it says 1 now. And then if we do the same for the other creep. And there we go. So they both got home values now. And then we can compare this with the max workers. So if number of workers is less than max workers, I'll spell that wrong, as seen up here, then what we'll do is spawn a creep. So const success equals spawn.spawn creep, and then what you want to do is the body. So we'll say, what do we want? For the time being, we'll just do work carry move. Yeah, that'll do. Work carry move, and then for name. I'm not sure. We'll just try and define again. I might have to create like a name system. And then all the memory stuff. So, like I did before, memory, and then another set of those funny things. Role worker. And then is working. I'll set it to false. And then home. And we'll set that to spawn.name. And then that should work, unless the name thing doesn't work. Right, it doesn't like the name thing, so I'm going to have to create a name system for you guys. It's not a problem. Right, so if number of workers is that. So what we can do now, we need to get a name. We'll make it a variable. We'll just quickly in here, just so we don't forget. Change undefined to name, and then we want to iterate for each of the workers for const worker index in num of workers. With that said, we'll change the sum to a filter on the num of workers variable, which means we have to turn this into a dot length. There we go. Added funny brackets to the end of the for loop. Get the creep of the worker. So const creep equals num of workers, worker index, Actually, I've forgotten an important step. We need to iterate a normal for loop, so with numbers rather than... Well, this is with numbers, I think, thereabouts, but we need another for loop either way. So for I equals 1 to I is less than max workers plus 1. This is just not a security thing, it's just sometimes it can glitch out, I've noticed, so just if you do plus 1 it's just safer. It's not gonna be over there, so you're not gonna get a worker 6, because that's handled here. So constant, and now what we need to do is I plus plus. There we go, and then embed this for loop in it. Cool. So it's going to iterate through all the potential workers, and then get the worker. Cool. So now we need to get a placeholder name. To do that, we also need to get a variable here called found. Oops. Is that correct? Yeah. Cool. So yeah, var found equals false, and this will be set to true if it finds a creep of the same name. So now we need to do if for future proofing spawn.name.concat this, and then worker dot concat I is equal to creep.name. Yeah, that should be fine. Then found equals true. So what this is, it's getting the spawn name, which is in this case core. It's adding a colon to it, and then the role name, and then it's getting this for loops index. And the reason we start 1 is just so it says worker 1 rather than worker 0. Yeah, and then basically if found is equal to false, then we apply the name. Name equals spawn.name.concat. Concat, by the way, it's joining two strings together. In some languages, it's as simple as doing a string dot dot another string, but in JavaScript, you got to do dot concat, which is a little bit more writing, but it's only a little bit. Spawn.name.concat worker.concat I, and there we go. So that should now automatically, there we go, yeah, immediately, and it says worker 5 for some reason. That is because we're not breaking out of it. So if we do that, because what it's doing is it's constantly updating. So at the end of it, if there's no worker called worker 5, then it's just going to do that. But the reason we break out of it is so if it finds the number with the least number in the list. So worker 1 will be printed next as soon as these are full, which we should see in a second. But as you saw, it automatically spawned, and it did apply core worker 5, I think. That's NoirPhoenix. That's NoirPhoenix. Wait, what? Ah, there we go. Let's create another one though. That one's core worker 1, and it's got the same properties. They're constantly moving, and as soon as we get to 5, we should see them go back to room controller, which is pretty sweet if you ask me. And it also shouldn't create any more creeps past this, even though they're called weird things compared to that. Like this one's called NoirPhoenix, because they all have the same role of worker. The name is just used when dictating what the other names are going to be. 300 ticks, 1,300. Yeah. Cool. Cool, so we got a nice system working. Let's keep it this video rolling until they go back to the controller. But now they are self-surviving though. If you wanted to, you could just leave it there. But I don't recommend that because there are threats out there. You will be attacked at some stage by either a player or an invader. And that one's worker 3. Is that worker 2? Yeah, that's worker 2. But that should be it. Once this is full, it should stop and they should all go to the room controller. So you got workers and upgraders in one. Is that full yet? Almost full. And they should change their route. Yep, there you go. This guy's going down. Those two are going down. These two are filling up. Awesome. There we go. It's going nicely. All 4 of them are going down now. That's not crafting another one, is it? Nope. But yeah, that's a very basic crafting system. Not crafting system. It's a very basic spawning system. But later on, we'll look at balancing, automatically creating creeps based on the amount of total energy you have, which will be pretty sweet. And then you don't have to predefine everything then. Yeah, look, they're all going to the controller. That's awesome. Awesome. So, I think I'm going to end the video there. Thank you very much for watching, guys. Next episode, we'll look at building and repairing structures, which will be pretty fun. Yeah. So I'll see you then. Thank you for watching. Bye.